There we go. We will go ahead and get started. So excited to see so many of you join us tonight. I am Karen Powell. I am the Deputy Assistant Superintendent for Early Childhood Strategy at the Louisiana Department of Education. And I am so happy to be with you tonight. As some of you know, because I am really happy to see a lot of familiar names as well. I used to get to work with some of you in the family child care pilot out of Greater Baton Rouge. And so I'm so excited to continue to have the opportunity to work with you now that I'm with the Department of Education. And with me tonight, we have some of my team members. We have Felicia Jackson, who manages our family child care work. And we have Demita Walker somewhere on here as well, who manages our school readiness tax credit work. So we will all be sharing information with you tonight. So Felicia, do you want to get us started?
Absolutely. Thank you, Karen. Good evening, everyone. I am, like Karen, I am super excited to share this information with you guys. I'm looking forward to our relationship building and growing as you guys journey on to, or, inquire about academic approval. The purpose of tonight's webinar is basically we wanted to inform you guys about the opportunity to participate in academic approval for the 2022-2023 academic year. Tonight, my colleagues and I will share with you the strides that the department have made to include and welcome your sites to the practices that were previously only offered to Type 3 centers. We want to make sure that you guys are fully informed and can move forward with next steps confidently. So like I said in my email to you all, there will be a lot of information in tonight's presentation. As we move forward, please add your questions in the chat. We will be pausing periodically throughout tonight to address and answer any questions that you guys may have. Before we jump in, you should see a poll appearing on your screen now. If you guys can just take a few seconds and answer the question, we can continue with our presentation. I'll give you guys about maybe 30 seconds to go ahead and answer that. It's just one question. And I just want to give a shout out while we're answering this question is that I see a couple of our providers are on tonight that have already opted into academic approval. So shout out to you guys. I see you guys. Okay. All right, I'm going to close the poll now. So I wanted to ground us before we dive in and provide a definition of how family child care provider is defined based on Bulletin 139. A family child care provider reads as one or more individuals who provide child care services for fewer than 24 hours per day per child, unless care in excess of 24 hours is due to the nature of the parent's work for 6 or fewer children in a private residence other than the child's residence. I want to add that on a personal note, we know that family child care providers are so much more than providing services to our children and families across Louisiana. Through this academic approval process, we would like to bring more of you guys to the table and provide more of the supports needed to run a business and take care of our youngest learners. I wanted to start off with an overview of what LDOE has been working on for the past 3 years, which is our family child care pilot. It was implemented in 2020 so that the department, along with our stakeholders, could learn more about providing support to family child care providers. The pilot expanded in 21-22 to include 80 family child care providers from 20 parishes across the state. These providers receive numerous streams of support as listed on your slide via their regional child care resource and referral agency. As we discuss academic approval during this webinar, you will hear information that may have an asterisk by it. Those are identifying the practices that our providers are familiar with or either that are already implemented. So I'm happy to share with you feedback from one of our participants in the pilot program. And she has, on your screen, you'll see Miss Tammy J. She has over 15 years as a family child care provider. Miss Tammy participated in the pilot program for 2 years, and she's from Marksville, Louisiana. Miss Tammy says that during her time in the pilot program, she learned better ways to be effective. For example, to let learning be children-led. Which now brings me to the reason for bringing us all here tonight. The department has made revisions to bulletins 139 and 140 to allow family child care providers to opt into academic approval, beginning with the 22-23 academic year. This option opens new opportunities to gain more income for eligible family child care providers, including school readiness tax credits, which we call those SRTCs, and child care assistance program bonus payments. For providers, that are not currently certified, you guys are encouraged to contact the provider help desk at the numbers listed on your screen. Keep in mind that this information is broken down by regions. You are within your region, you guys are regionally assigned a specialist. The specialist will walk you through next steps on what's needed to become CCAP certified if you're on tonight's call and you're not currently CCAP certified. As I share with you information about academic approval, again, I encourage you guys to take notes. If you have questions, please feel free to go ahead and drop those in the chat. And we will, like I said, we will pause periodically to address all of your questions. Here is an overview of what the benefits are for those that opt into academic approval. These opportunities will provide many benefits, including you having a performance profile on louisianabelieves.com. If you guys are eligible, you will receive the school readiness tax credits as well as CCAP bonus payments, ongoing coaching, training, and TA technical assistance from your child care resource and referral agencies, access to higher quality curriculum, mental health consultation, network inclusion, and other aligned supports as resources are applicable. So once a provider opts into academic approval, you'll receive what I mentioned is a performance profile. This performance profile will be published on louisianabelieves.com. And in essence, it's like a marketing tool. It markets your business to families that are interested in finding placement for family child care providers for their child. Your profile will include more detailed information such as basic site information, ages of the children that you serve at your site, your hours of operation, and the site location and quality. This information will help parents make a more informed decision about the best placement for their child. I have a video here that kind of sums up performance profiles that I wanted you guys to watch.
The years before your child enters kindergarten are very important. Their young brains are growing quickly and they're developing important skills and obtaining knowledge every day. Children who go to high-quality Head Start, pre-K, or childcare programs are better prepared to be successful in school. Your child's early development is the foundation for lifelong success. But finding the right program for your child can be difficult. To make it easier, the Louisiana Department of Education has created an online tool called the Louisiana School Finder. This website provides a performance profile for any childcare, Head Start, or school site taking public funding for educating children ages birth through 4. To generate those profiles, trained observers will visit each site several times a year. They take detailed notes on interactions between the teachers and the children, considering factors like: are teachers aware of what kids should know and be able to do at each age, and are there established routines in place to support this growth? Are there a variety of books, toys, and games for your child to explore? Are there smiling, friendly teachers who are ready to respond to your children's emotions? How well do the teachers talk to your child consistently, even during diapering and meal times? How often do teachers ask open-ended questions, encouraging children to think critically, even if they don't get the right answer? How well do teachers help them learn concepts by sharing ideas, checking for understanding, and connecting concepts to your child's real-world experiences? Based on questions like these, trained observers score the classroom experience for children in using a highly regarded national tool. These scores are combined to create an overall rating. Ratings range from 1 to 7 with 5 levels: unsatisfactory, approaching proficient, proficient, high proficient, and excellent. Sites that receive an excellent rating provide warm, caring environments, are extremely well organized, and actively promote learning and development consistently throughout the day. These sites are rare and may be considered models. Sites that receive a high proficient rating provide warm, caring environments, are well organized, and promote children's development, although not as consistently as excellent sites. Sites that receive a proficient rating meet the state's definition of high quality. These sites often provide warm, caring, and well-organized environments, but inconsistently promote children's development. Sites that receive an approaching proficient rating meet the state's minimum expectations and provide adequate environments for young children, but research shows that they do not usually promote children's learning. Sites that receive an unsatisfactory rating are not meeting the minimum level of quality the department expects in an early childhood site. These sites may not be warm or responsive to your children's needs and are not promoting children's learning. Sites that receive an unsatisfactory rating consistently will lose public funding. Underneath the overall rating, you can view individual ratings for classroom climate, organization, and instructional quality. The profile also includes other information about the site. For example, if a site has 3 stars under their curriculum rating, that means that they use a high-quality curriculum to support learning. Or if a site has certified teachers, it means those teachers are fully prepared to teach in their site. These 2 things actively promote children's learning and development. This website also makes it easy to consider safety and practical factors, such as: is my child safe? The website provides information about compliance with child safety regulations. How convenient is the location to my job or home? Do the hours work with my schedule? Is the program affordable? The website provides information about programs that may be low cost or free. We hope that you found this video helpful in better understanding how Louisiana's early childhood programs are measured. To view reports on early childhood programs in your area, visit www.louisianaschools.com and type in a program's name or your zip code. Please contact us with any questions at earlychildhood@la.gov. Also, stay in touch with the department by following us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram.
Okay. Before we move on, I see we have a question. Miss Angel, Do you want to unmute and ask your question?
Yes, good evening. How everybody doing? Somebody came to my door. My dog is barking. I apologize.
Okay.
So I had a question earlier. You were saying about them being able to locate us, posting like an address and things like that. So will our home addresses be posted on these sites?
Karen, would you like to speak to that?
Yeah, so that is a good question, and the answer, I believe, is yes. I would have to check. I think it's possible that there maybe could be a post office address instead, but I'm not sure. But typically, yes, it has been the actual site location address to help families see how close it is to, their area. To help them decide if they want to contact a site and see whether there are any slots available there.
Right. So I would like to know that, because I would like to see if it would be just possibly Westwego, Louisiana, Jefferson Parish would be fine, because before it's our business, it is our home. We have families that we need to just, I'm speaking for me, to keep safe. I open my doors to different families to come in, but it's with screening as best as I can do. So posting my address is out there like that is kind of uncomfortable for one. The other question I had was, is this going to be more like class situation where they come in and monitor you and watch what you're doing with the kids and things like that? And if so, is it going to be one person that's coming all the time, or is it going to be several different people in and out?
So that's another great question. If you don't mind, Ms. Angel, we are going to get into that a little later in the presentation. So if you don't mind, make sure we answer your questions when we get to that. But first, we're going to talk about the rest of the benefits, and then we're going to get into the requirements and go deeper into class. But
Okay,
thank you for flagging the address issue. I'm sure Felicia has already noted it down for us to follow up on, because I do think that's a really good flag that, we do need to consider and find out, like, do we have any federal requirements that make us list that level of detail, or could we look into doing that differently? So thank you very much for helping us think through that very important perspective and reality.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so my next section will be presented by my colleague, Demita Walker.
Thank you, Felicia. Again, I just want to say welcome to everyone, and thank you so much for joining this webinar. Again, my name is Demita Walker, and I'm very happy to speak to you all about school readiness tax credits. Okay, so family child care providers who opt into academic approval will be eligible for school readiness tax credits. I also want to point out, on the application or job form that you complete, you will have to elect yes in order to receive some of these school readiness tax credit benefits. So Louisiana school readiness tax credits aim to increase children's access to high quality care. So these tax credits reduce state taxes paid by individuals and businesses. This is a dollar for dollar amount. Unlike a tax deduction, a tax credit is the whole value of the credit, regardless of the tax bracket in which the taxpayer falls. School readiness tax credits, or SRTCs, are refundable, meaning they are available to taxpayers even if they do not owe any taxes. So family child care providers, again, who opt into academic approval by June 17th, 2022, and meet the academic approval requirements may be eligible for some of the tax credits that I'm going to talk about in the following slides.
Sorry, y'all. I missed lunch today. I'm just being really frank. I missed lunch, so I was getting some quick bites in. So what I want to show you here is that there are different levels to the tax credits. What we are actually bringing to our advisory council next week, and then to our state board in June, is a proposal for what the SRTC ladder would look like for family child care. So this is not the ladder that would apply to family child care as of yet. We're still developing that and bringing it in the next couple of weeks. But I wanted to show you this to point out a couple of things. One, that there are different levels. And so you see that on the left column increasing from level 1 to 2. And as you'll see on the other slides, levels 3 and 4. Then in the middle column, if you go back again, Felicia, you'll see that the amounts also increase for the different levels. And then what you'll see in the right column are the requirements to reach that level. And what I want to stress is, as you can see in level 2, for example, and in level 3 and 4, you do not have to meet all of those bulleted requirements. Those are different possible alternative routes that can qualify you for that level. So for level 2, you could meet the first bullet or the second bullet or the third bullet or the fourth bullet to qualify for level 2. We are proposing potentially additional alternate routes to meet level 1 as well. Again, these are not what has been decided for family childcare yet. So I really don't want you to pay attention yet to these particular requirements, but I really want you to see that the requirements do increase. If you want to flip to the next slide, Felicia. And then eventually the next one, but so do the levels and so do the monies awarded. And so over time, as you stay in the system, you would be eligible for higher and higher levels of the tax credit every single year.
Okay, thank you, Karen. I also just want to add, in order to be eligible for those tax credits that Karen just spoke about, you will have to enroll with Louisiana Pathways. That's a voluntary program. We're going to possibly talk about that a little bit more in this webinar. But the next tax credit that I'm going to be speaking about is going to be the provider tax credit. And it's going to be pertaining to the star rating, which is why you see this slide on your screen. So family child care providers who opt into academic approval will receive a star rating in 2024 based on their 2022-2023 performance profile scores. These star ratings will affect incentives for family child care providers. So I think someone did ask about the observations and different things like that. So those observations are going to tie to the overall performance score. And based on that, that's going to determine for your provider SRTC, the tax incentive that I'm going to speak about in the next slide.
I think we have a question before we move to the next slide. Ms. Taisha Moses, I think. Yes.
Yes, I did. Hi. So my question is related to, because I just started as a family child care provider. I was a director at a facility, and I also was a teacher at Head Start. So I'm already on the Pathways ladder as a type 3 teacher. Would I lose that going into this particular part of the field?
The
And
ladders.
I do have scores. I do have scores with a class that I just took last month.
So thank you for asking that very great question. The ladders are specific to the setting in which you work. So you would only be eligible for the director ladder, for example, if you were serving in a center as a director. You would only be eligible for the type 3 teacher ladder if you were serving in a center as a teacher. So if you are open as a family child care, you'll have to meet the requirements of that family child care ladder specifically. And then to answer your additional question, the star ratings and the performance score works the same way, that it's based on the site where you are currently. And so your current business hasn't yet gone through that process as your own business. Your prior center did, but this current business has not. And so you won't have any scores ascribed to your family childcare site until you've been through that observation period and performance profile at your family childcare site.
Thank you, Karen.
Okay, so the benefits of academic,
Oh, wait, hold on.
So the
I'm
benefit-
sorry to cut you off. Someone else unmuted and asked the question.
I was just saying that I wanted to ask if you have your ancillary, if you're a family child care provider, you have your ancillary, your early childhood and all of this. Do you have to have like the director type thing? Would I need to have some kind of certification as a director? I'm at a level teacher level 3 or 4 or something, and an ancillary and an early childhood. So what do I have to have that says director also?
Are you
I
a
mean, I've never
family
had any.
child care director, Miss Charlotte?
Well, yeah, since I'm at home, I'm a
So
I've never
you
had any
would,
training in directorship, but
well, you wouldn't, the director track is just for type 3 centers. So you
Oh.
would follow the requirements of the family child care track. And what we were showing you was an example of the type 3 center teacher track, because the family child care track hasn't been put yet into policy.
oh yeah.
We are proposing it. And I'm not sure that everybody saw actually what I added to the chat. So this is a great opportunity for me to, expand on that and share with everyone. We are proposing it. I did mention we're proposing it to our council next week, but what I put and added in the chat that I want to make sure everybody hears is that Felicia can send that out later next week to everyone on this call. So you can see what we have proposed to the advisory council if they endorse it. And then it still has to go through one more step, going to the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education. You may have heard of them, called BESI before. It still has to go to BESI or our state board in the middle of June. And so that's when we'll know by June 15th if it received the state board approval as well. But as early as next week, she could share it with you if our advisory council endorses it. And y'all could look at what the family child care track would definitely, what we hope, as long as the state board approves it, what it would look like, and see where you would stack up on there.
When whenever I opt in for the academic approval, you said also something about having to join Pathways.
Mhm.
As long as I worked in a facility, I was a part of that. But since I've been away from it, so I need to re-register.
You will, so what will happen is, you don't need to worry about doing any of that right now. If you are
Okay.
interested in being part of this, and we hope you are,
Mhm.
you will submit your application first for academic assurances
Mhm.
and academic approval. And then Felicia will, in, as early as July 1, she'll start sending y'all, okay, here's, if you're not in Pathways, here's how you register for the first time. If you
Okay.
are already in Pathways, here's how you update your registration. So what she'll do, we want to let like everybody find out, everybody that wants to be part of it. And then we want to share the same information, have webinars like this, where we can review steps or give you just an email with all the documents you need to pick from, or have technical assistance office hours, whatever works, multiple strategies. But yeah, we definitely want to guide you through what you need to do later, so you don't have to figure all of that out, because it is different, as you can hear already from the questions. It's a little bit different for everyone. And
Yes.
so we will absolutely help you figure that out. In your particular case, you'll just have to update your listing with Pathways, but I'll go ahead and say this as well. We also really don't want you, we're excited if you're excited and you're wanting to take care of everything, but we also don't want to jump ahead too far with that, because since this is so new, Pathways isn't fully ready for that yet. We've got to see if they want to update their forms and have a new form or what. So that's why Felicia will let everybody know.
Yeah, I had
Absolutely.
touched bases with them to let them know that I had been for the last year not in working in a child care facility until then. I started doing family. I got approved for that. But they said something about taking me off the list or something. So how would I know? Would I just have to contact them to find out whether or not they've actually taken me off the list as being inactive, or just what?
I think that's something to note as well, Felicia, that once we know everyone who has opted into academic approval, then Felicia can be talking to Pathways and trying to get a sense
Oh.
of who is in their system, who isn't, what forms we think are needed,
Okay.
and we definitely want to help facilitate that, because there is going to come a point, absolutely, where like this should be a rhythm and a process where you don't need us to assist and facilitate so much. But this is the first time we're doing it all, you know? So definitely, at least for this first year, we want to help provide all that help so y'all aren't having to struggle to figure anything out. We want to try to minimize any frustrations we can.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. These are fantastic questions, y'all. Thank you. Please keep them coming because I can promise you Felicia is taking notes about like all the follow-ups we want to make sure we cover based on y'all helping us to see the best ways to support you. So thank you.
So one other question, I want to piggyback on the ancillary, because I do have an ancillary. Is it not going to be any good since I'm in family?
No, your ancillary should still be good. Your ancillary certificate is good for up to 3 years, and then you have to renew it every 3 years. But yes, if you already have your early childhood ancillary certificate, you're already, you know, going to be ahead of that requirement. And as long as that's one of the options to level up on the family child care ladder, which I expect it will be, that's already going to be helping you level up.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
You're welcome.
And if y'all haven't, if any of you do have your ECAC already, your early childhood ancillary certificate, just do make sure you're checking those dates to see like when it expires, because there are some people whose certificate is expiring this year. And one of the other things, I don't want to say too much and like be confusing to people who aren't quite there in that particular process yet. Don't worry about it. You'll get there. We'll help you get there. Absolutely. So just let it go over your head if what I'm saying doesn't fit with, you know, your experience at this moment. But if you are renewing one, we are trying to work with our certification team to fix some processes there as well, because renewal requires an employer to, you know, sign off. And you're self-employed. There isn't an employer as a family childcare business who can sign off on you. So we're working through what that process would look like with our certification team as well. So if you do have an early childhood ancillary certificate that's expiring, I'd say in the next, 3 to 6 months, please make sure that you let Felicia know so we can make sure we help you with that process as well. For the rest of you, if you're going to be getting an early childhood ancillary certificate in the next year or 2 years, we'll have that process worked out before you need to renew it.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, Demita.
Yes, great questions, everyone. I don't want to start again. If anyone has any additional questions that they would like to ask, please feel free to do so or drop them in the chat. Okay, so the benefits of academic approval for CCAP bonus payments. So this tax incentive is based on your star rating. So this is just ahead of the game, again, information, but I want to make you all aware. CCAP certified family child care providers who opt into academic approval and serve children on the CCAP program will be eligible for the CCAP bonus payment. So again, this bonus payment is based on star rating. And because you're new into the academic approval process, you will not have a star rating as soon as you begin. So CCAP bonus payments are distributed at the end of each calendar quarter to eligible sites that care for children on CCAP. The CCAP bonus payment is calculated based on the site's star rating, and you must be rated 3, 4, or 5 stars, the amount of CCAP payments made that quarter, and the age of the children that you serve. These quarterly payments are made in May, August, November, and February, and will begin in 2024 for family child care providers who opt into the academic approval by June 17th, 2022. Also, just want to point out, you have to elect yes on the job form, yes for school readiness tax credits, and that will make you eligible for these incentives that we just talked about. Thank you. So the benefits of the academic approval provider quarterly bonus payments, it's broken down by the percentage. So based on the star rating that you receive, 3, 4, or 5 stars, you're going to receive a percentage quarterly those months that I just talked about on the previous slide. So for 3 stars, you can get an 11%. 4 stars is a 16.5%, and 5 stars is a 23%. And this is based on the rate of each child on CCAP.
Thank you, Demita. So, excuse me. So based on the information that Demita presented, I wanted to provide you guys with an example of what an approximate CCAP bonus payment would look like. Excuse me. So here we have an example of a family child care provider that has either a 3, 4, or 5-star rating and is serving an infant on CCAP at their site. So for instance, a provider who has a star rating of 3, they'll receive an approximately CCAP monthly payment of $13.42. Now that $13.42, based on the chart to the left, you see for a provider that rate has a 3-star rating, they'll receive 11% of that CCAP payment, which will be $147.62. If that same provider had a 5-star rating and was serving that infant, the approximate quarterly bonus payment would be $308.66. Same example, just a different age for the child. This is the approximate quarterly bonus payments for toddlers for those same providers. If the provider had a 3-star rating, the quarterly bonus payment would be $101.64 for that one toddler. If they had a 5-star rating, it would be $212.52. In addition to all the financial perks that family child care providers will receive, they'll receive ongoing support from their regional child care resource and referral agency when opting into academic approval. Support provided will include coaching, which will help improve teacher-child interaction and also help your site increase its ratings on your performance profile. Technical assistance, which is short visits that address your custom needs, such as assistance with environmental setup or completing paperwork. Group trainings that are tailored to basically meet the needs of your guys' individual network, and FCC network meetings that provide more opportunities for peer-to-peer interactions, to meet and learn from one another and receive peer support, and to hear from valuable guest speakers.
Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Absolutely, thank you.
On the other slide where you were showing us the bonuses, you had like
Sure.
one, but let's say you had 5-star. So that's 5-star for the infant, which was like one infant was 3 something. But let's say if you had 2 infants, 5-star, that's 3 something per child.
If they're all on CCAP. So it's not per infant, it's per infant on CCAP.
Okay.
But yes,
but-
if you had
yeah.
3 infants on CCAP, you would multiply it times 3, exactly.
That's what I thought. So any of those would be based like that same way. Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Absolutely.
You're
Felicia,
welcome.
if you don't mind, before we move on, there are just a
Yeah.
couple of other questions in the chat that I could start answering and then we could keep going.
Sure.
And just sort of as a follow-up to Ms. Charlotte's question, I think it was explained clearly, but I also know like this is a lot of information. So I just want to pause and repeat something about the 2 different financial incentives again. So one is the individual school readiness tax credit that you can receive as a family child care provider, and that comes directly to you. And in those different amounts, the $1,800 to the $3,600. As long as you have opted into academic approval by June 17th, and you've got your certificate as of July 1, and you stay in the system through December 31st and do all the requirements of academic approval, you are eligible for that first school readiness tax credit in spring of 2023. Now, again, the CCAP bonus payments are based on your site's performance profile and star rating. And you won't have that performance profile and star rating until you've participated in the full year of academic approval. So you would get observations, which we'll get into deeper in just a minute. You get observations in fall 2022 and spring 2023. And in fall 2023, you get your performance profile rating. And then you would be eligible to start receiving CCAP bonus payments in spring 2024. But you can get in sooner with the individual school readiness tax credits, and then you can add on CCAP bonus payments later if you are serving CCAP children. I did just want to say that. And then a couple of questions in the box. Some people have said, so excited, how do I apply? I just want to note that we will put a link to the application in the chat box at the end of the presentation. So we are definitely headed in that direction. Someone asked, when does the application come out for us to apply? And if you mean to opt into academic approval specifically, that application is out and we are going to share that with you this evening before we close. Let me see. And then
there's one.
Okay, there's a question about what if I meet all the requirements and have to pay taxes, but already have a payment arrangement with the IRS. I would say in that case, you might need to contact Demita directly. I'm sure Demita can guide you about that offline, but I'm sure that is not a unique situation. So it's something that we can provide you with more guidance on. Demita, if you want to put your email address in the chat. And then another provider said, I want to further my education and training within the program as a family childcare provider, but my location has a lot to do with the amount of children I'm currently providing care for. So basically I'm asking, is it worth pursuing further or is it a waste of time? And I understand that. I mean, we are asking you to do more work. And I feel like your question shows that, growing takes work. It does take some work. You're interested in it. You think it's worthwhile, but you also need to know that you'd be able to serve enough children and make it worth it. So, I do think obviously that's a personal decision, but I can say that in every single area of the state, every single area, Tensas, East Carroll, St. Helena, Cameron, every single area of the state, there is not enough childcare accessible to families, especially in rural areas and especially infant and toddler care. We need you. We need more of you and your colleagues. And so I do know that you're needed. I also know it can be hard to find those families. And so that's why being on the School and Center Finder can help families identify you. The other thing is that Felicia's going to talk about this as a requirement, but it's also kind of a benefit that when you participate in academic approval, you are part of that local community network, that early childhood care and education community network, and you participate in things like their coordinated enrollment. And so you form relationships with that network, and they are also going to be helping to share your information with families because they want as many children in that community in high quality care as possible so that those children are ready when they enter school. So I do believe, that's a decision you have to make yourself. And I do believe you might need further reflection and we would be happy to talk to you more about it, following the webinar today. But I can tell y'all, I see the access numbers and I see the numbers served. Every single part of this state needs more childcare. So you're needed. We just have to get you connected to the families if that has been a struggle. And we believe this is one way to help you. And when you have a performance profile rating and you show the quality of your work, families will want that.
Great. There's another question in the box. It says, just for clarification, I am a retired elementary teacher, certified early childhood. Will I need to certify in other areas for this program?
Thank you, Felicia. So I have replied to some of that privately, but I'm very happy to summarize it here. So sure. Most of the times, if you're a retired teacher, lead teacher in a classroom, you have to have at least a bachelor's degree, maybe a master's degree. And so a bachelor's degree automatically qualifies you for the early childhood ancillary certificate. Now, everyone, and Felicia will go over this a little bit more in a minute, everyone who opts into academic approval does need to get an early childhood ancillary certificate, or an ECAC, because we get tired of saying all that, right? You have to get an ECAC within 2 years of starting your academic approval. So you have time to do it if you don't have it already. And we help you find the programs, and there's support to help you get through it. And it's free. We provide the tuition for it as well. But if you don't have it, but have certain qualifications, like a bachelor's degree, you need the ECAC, but all you're going to have to do is fill out the ECAC application, turn it in, and you're going to be done.
Mhm.
And then I see one more question. I would like to participate in the program, but am working to move from a family childcare provider to type 3. So again, we need all of you. That's great, whether you choose to serve as family childcare or whether you choose to serve in a type 3 center. So excited that you're choosing to serve. So if you mean as a teacher, then this stuff will all happen through your director. If you are wanting to open up your own childcare center and serve as the director yourself, that has its own requirements that come with it as well. So you could write Felicia or our early childhood team, and we could connect you to the right people if you want to talk to some of our team members about how to go about setting up a center. And then what if you are already in the pilot program? You might have to give me a little bit more information, but I'll start answering possible answers to that. If you're already in the pilot program, we hope you want to continue, because the pilot program is going away. So we hope you'll want to continue by opting into academic approval, and that you'll want to keep receiving the same types of supports and even more benefits and incentives. It is very similar to the pilot program. And so Felicia, maybe flip back real quickly to show the benefits with the asterisks. And then pretty shortly, we're almost through the benefits and we're going to get into the requirements. But as you can see here on this slide, when Felicia talks about the benefits, at the end of certain bullets, there's an asterisk, like network inclusion, other aligned supports, mental health consultation, access to high quality curriculum, ongoing coaching, training, and TA from CCR&R. All of that are benefits that you received in the pilot that would continue. It's just there are additional benefits on top of it.
Okay.
Okay,
So another
I'm
one,
sorry.
Karen. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Will the
No.
agency be increasing the number of children FCC providers are able to care for in the near future?
Sorry, I was also seeing another question in the chat box. That's why I paused. So in terms of the number of children that can be cared for, we are interested in that. We are definitely interested in that. For that to happen, though, there will have to be licensing for family child care. It's not going to be possible without licensing and some additional health and safety regulations. It's also a very political issue because sometimes families worry that if we even talk about licensing, even if we're talking about it as an option, not saying people even necessarily being required, but if we even talk about it as an option, some families get nervous that that means they wouldn't be able to take care of their own families without being licensed, for example. So it's a delicate issue and a political issue, but not an issue that we're going to abandon, because we know that those of you who really love doing this and maybe have family that you want to incorporate in your business, or that you're just a really savvy business person and you want to hire people, even if you don't already know somebody to be on your staff, and that you want to reach more children, but you want to do it still in a family childcare environment, we absolutely want to keep pursuing that. It's just a slow thing. And I mean, I don't think y'all will have any trouble believing that, because all of what we're sharing with you today that we're so excited about took some time to happen, right? You know, it's taken some time. Act 3 was passed in 2012 and centers started doing performance profiles in 2016. So we hope and plan to move faster and moving forward even more with family childcare. But I think it's pretty exciting that just in 3 years, we started the pilot and we've already gotten to all these policy changes. So we want to continue to push it forward. We want to continue to accelerate it. one of the things that after Felicia gets through this first stage of getting our first group into academic approval, we want to do some piloting of what licensing for family childcare might look like. So, you know, which of our existing licensing regulations would apply, which couldn't really fit a home like they do for a center. So we can start talking with the fire marshal and, you know, health and others about, if we create licensing, what would it look like? What is reasonable for a family home environment? So we absolutely want to keep pushing for that. But to have more children, there would have to be licensing involved.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for sending the questions. I think I'm going to take one more question and then we're going to move on, and we'll pause soon to take more questions.
So I'll catch this last one, Felicia, before you move on.
Go ahead.
Our in-home family childcare. So just want to clarify, we use those terms differently. So we use in-home childcare as meaning you go to the child's home and provide care in the child's home. We use family childcare as the child comes to your home and you provide care in your home. But to type 3 only applies to center-based care. So type 3 doesn't apply to in-home or family childcare. So I hope maybe that helped clarify, but definitely ask further questions in the chat and we'll come back to them in a little while if I didn't explain that clearly enough, which is absolutely possible on a Wednesday night. So thank you.
So LDOE is committed to ensuring that high quality curriculums are being utilized across the state when caring for children. So much that we are reimbursing curriculum purchases at 80% up to $4,000. When a provider selects a curriculum from our from our Child Care Curriculum Initiative Guidebook, which is linked here, the benefits of high quality curriculum include alignment to the Birth to 5 standards, options for family engagement, quality and complexity of learning activities, potential for individualizing instruction, cultural and linguistic sensitivity, ease of use by staff, embedded assessments, and developmental appropriateness. Highly trained mental health consultants will also be a part of support for our family child care providers. The support will improve the social, emotional, and behavioral health of children. Their support that's provided has several components that determines how needs are met, which are program-centered, classroom-centered, and child-centered support. Here we have a feedback video from another one of our pilot participants, Miss Katie. Miss Katie is from Ouachita Parish. She left a type 3 center and opened her own family childcare site in 2020. Miss Katie has over 20 years of experience in childcare and wanted to share her thoughts with you guys on this evening.
Hi, I'm Katie McLean, and I'm a family childcare provider in Ouachita Parish. I have 20 years experience in working in childcare. In 2020, I opened my home as a registered family childcare provider. Having the experience of working in a classroom, I knew I could handle the job of having the 6 little ones in my home. But I also knew that there was going to be a lot of challenges doing everything on my own. I was ecstatic to find out that I could be part of the Children's Coalition, and I'm a family childcare provider in Ouachita Parish. To know that I was going to have a childcare specialist and a mental health consultant. In 2020, I opened my home just invaluable as a family childcare provider. I'm very grateful that working in a classroom, I knew I could handle the job of having the 6 little ones in my home. But I also knew that there was going to be a lot of challenges doing everything on my own. I was ecstatic to find out that I could be part of the Children's Coalition and join the pilot program. To know that I was going to have a child care specialist and a mental health consultant was just invaluable to me. I'm very grateful that I can share information with them and not face judgment. And instead, I get advice, I get support, I get assurance that I'm providing the best care for these children in my home. I'm ecstatic to hear that family child care providers can choose to be part of the academic approval. There was no hesitation when I heard that I could apply for that. I know that this will help my business, it will help my families, and it will help me personally with my own tax credits. The tax credit is very beneficial. My family and I look forward to seeing that return again. We've been able to get that in the past, and it was just, it's its own little present when you file your taxes with the state. With academic approval, I am confident that family childcare will continue to thrive and succeed in Louisiana. And I am so pleased to be involved with this new endeavor.
All right, sorry for the technical difficulties. After the viewing of this presentation, everything that's in these slides will be sent to you guys, and you guys will have access to see everything and flip through it and take time to go through everything.
Hi,
So at this time, I'm going to launch our second poll of the evening. And on your screen, it should be, you should see it again. It's just one question, and it'll give me a chance to go ahead and comb through the chat box. I'll give you guys a couple seconds to go ahead and answer that. Okay, I'm going to end the poll now. Thank you guys so much for participating in the poll. All right, so this next section of tonight's presentation, we'll talk about the requirements for academic approval. Here on this slide, I've broken down the requirements, and I'm going to go through them just like we did for the benefits. So to participate in academic approval, you need to be CCAP certified. You need to participate in the community network, including child count and coordinated enrollment. Participation in the unified quality rating system, which uses class observations, also the use of child assessment, and reporting on use of best practices, such as curriculum and provider credentials. You also need to, as Ms. Karen mentioned earlier, you need to earn your ECAC, your Early Childhood Ancillary Certificate, within 2 years of being academic approval certified. And also participation in site improvement plan if your site is low performing. And we'll talk about that more as well. As a reminder for those that do decide to opt into academic approval, you will need to continue your registration status with the licensing division of the department and be certified for the Child Care Assistance Program through CCAP. For those that might not already serve children on CCAP, here is a reminder of the recent increase of daily rates. Family child care sites who serve more children on the CCAP program will yield more funding to support their businesses financially. In addition, more families are now eligible for CCAP due to the state increasing eligibility for families from 65% to 85% of the state median income. And CCAP rates have increased as noted on your slide. So when it comes to coordinated enrollment is the process developed and implemented by a community network for infant, toddler, and pre-K children whose families want to enroll them in a publicly funded program within that community. Participating in coordinated enrollment means that community networks will include information about FCCs who opt into academic approval in their informational campaign to parents seeking care locally. Also, free advertisement on behalf of your site, and more families get the opportunity to learn more about family child care in their area as an option. Child count will require the family child care provider to report their local community network the number of publicly funded children served as of October 1st and February 1st of every year. The department conducts this count twice a year to have a better understanding of the early childhood landscape and number of children being served. Providers in the FCC pilot were already a part of this process. Class observations are based on ages of children in care, infants, toddlers, and pre-K, which you are familiar with. Well, some of you guys are already familiar with the process. These scores will be used for accountability purposes to calculate your performance profile score. This score leads to determining your eligibility for SRTCs and CCAP bonus payments. It also provides valuable information to encourage professional growth and improve outcomes for the children in care. Family
So,
child care.
Alicia, could we pause there just for a minute while we're on that topic? And I want to go back to question C. I didn't forget, even though it's Wednesday night, it's still here, that we got asked about the class observations in the beginning. Now you get me back on track, y'all, if I am not remembering the question correctly. But one of our family childcare tonight was asking, is this when, you know, people would come in and observe you? And yes, there's the one observation. Okay, so there are 3 observations across the whole academic year. One takes place by the local community network in the fall between August 15th and December 15th. One takes place by the local community network in the spring between January 15th and May 15th. Those are typically scheduled so you would know what day someone was coming and the name of the person coming from the network. You know, so it's prepared, it's, you know, professional, they come, they just observe. Generally an observation is approximately 2 hours. Because it's usually a 20-minute, it's 4 cycles, usually a 20-minute observation, then a 10-minute break, 20-minute observation, 10-minute break, 20 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes. That just happens twice a year, once in the fall, once in the spring. And then the third observation that takes place could be either the fall or the spring. And that's by somebody from the P-Card Center at University of Louisiana at Lafayette. Now that one's not scheduled and announced in the same way that the local one is. However, they do still give you some notice. So for example, they might contact you the last 2 weeks of October and say, I'm going to come observe your site in November. So you would know which month it was going to be 2 weeks before the month begins. And you would have the opportunity with that ULL P-Card observer to say, okay, you're coming in November. Don't come on the Thursday and Friday of Thanksgiving because my site's closed. Don't come on that Wednesday because we're having a family celebration with the children's families. Don't come this day because it's picture day. You'd be able to tell them, and don't come this day because I have a medical appointment and I won't be here. You would be able to tell them, you know, you can't pick 15 or 20 dates in the month that you're not available, but you would be able to tell them the days that you're truly not available, or that the children will be distracted and there are other things going on, and you wouldn't be able to get a good observation for their part or yours out of it. So the 2 local observations, one in fall, one in spring, scheduled, you know when they're going to happen. They happen in the mornings. And then the 1 ULL P-Card observation in fall or spring, you get notice of which month it'll be. and you get to tell them the dates that absolutely don't work. So please let me know in the chat if that didn't answer the question from earlier, but hopefully that helps. So thanks, Felicia, for letting me dig into that just a little bit.
No problem. Thank you for circling back. Okay, so family child care providers will be required to assess all publicly funded children using the TS Gold assessment. TS Gold measures the knowledge, skills, and behaviors most predictive of school success in 9 areas of development and content learning. These areas include social, emotional, physical, language, cognitive, literacy, mathematics, science and technology, and the arts. Through TS Gold, providers can easily capture, organize, and store notes, photos, videos, and digital samples of children's work in the moment to collect documentation of the children's development. So reporting on best practices. Where am I? I'm sorry. Annually reporting on best practices will be reported to your community network lead agency. FCCs must report the following annually: ratios, assessment, curriculum use, and credentials. Reports of these criteria will also be included on the performance profile, which will be publicly available on School Site Finder at louisianabelieves.com. In order to earn your early childhood ancillary certificate through a CDA or technical diploma, FCCs must attend a BESI-approved early childhood ancillary ECAC program. Financial support to complete a BESI-approved program is available through Pathways, covering tuition for FCCs at 100%. Which would also result in increasing your SRTC amount once you have earned your ECAC. I know we had that question earlier. So earlier on our slide, I mentioned about site improvement planning. Site improvement planning is often referred to as SIP. It's a tool that is used to improve the site's performance profile rating. Through the SIP process, sites that received individualized support from department staff called field support consultants. We refer to these consultants as FSCs, and also child care resource and referral coaches. They prioritize support from mental health consultants, which is MHCs, based on requests or needs. Though all site administrators are encouraged to focus on continuous quality improvement through their sites, SIP is a requirement for low scoring sites. SIP is designed to assist the site to ensure that best practices are in place to deliver quality care, allow the providers to meet their targets, and reap the benefits of academic approval. On this slide, I wanted to provide you guys a visual of what the process to be approved for academic approval actually looks like. So the first step is becoming CCAP certified. You must complete this with the licensing division within the Department of Education. The second step, you will complete and sign the academic approval assurances, which I'll include in, I think, 2 more slides. And then once you complete your assurances, you will be issued a certificate. This certificate will be valid from July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023. At this time, we can pause for questions. Do we have any questions in the chat?
We had a couple more in the chat.
Okay.
One person clarified about the class observations. This would be every year, 3 visits a year, and that's correct. There would be 3 observations each academic year. And then someone else asked, if I graduate with my bachelor's degree in child and family studies, do I need to take academic approval? And no, family childcare is not required to opt into academic approval. But if you wish to receive any of the benefits we've described of academic approval, then you must opt into academic approval. And just wanted to note that if anyone was participating in the pilot and receiving support through the pilot, a reminder that the pilot is ending in June. So the only way to get these supports and incentives moving forward is to opt into academic approval. The other benefit, by the way, of getting observed every year is that you get more feedback, you get more lessons, you learn, you grow, you improve the care for your children even more, and you get the chance to get a higher score, a better performance profile, more money, better star rating, attract even more parents. So it's actually a good thing that you get to be observed every year.
I have one that came to me, Karen. It's a question. It says, if I got a degree in child and family studies, do I need to obtain my CDA? I think we.
So like a bachelor's degree or an associate's or
yeah, I'm
so
assuming
you don't have to receive the CDA if you have one of those degrees, but everyone does have to receive the ECAC. You have to receive the early childhood ancillary certificate. Now, again, some of these degrees you're talking about automatically qualify you for the ECAC. You don't have to take additional coursework or anything, but you still have to have that early childhood ancillary certification. So if you get in the program, can you get out if you no longer want to participate? Yes, you can. The department would revoke your academic approval and you would stop receiving any of the benefits or incentives at that time. And if you don't meet any of the requirements of academic approval, the department would revoke that, because we have to make sure that if you want to be in the system, you are meeting the requirements of the system. And if you want to benefit from the system, you have to meet the requirements of the system.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Is all this information gonna be on email?
Yeah, Felicia, you want to answer that?
Yes, ma'am. Shortly between today and tomorrow, I'm sorry, and Friday, I will be sending everything out that you've seen this evening to you guys.
Okay, thank you.
And I also wanted to clarify that CCAP certification, no problem. CCAP certification is actually processed through CCAP and not our licensing division. So I just wanted to clarify that. I did include here exactly who you guys need to reach out to in the process if you have questions. These will be your point of contacts for any questions that you have throughout this process.
We have a question. How can I renew my CDA? I've been searching online, but I'm not sure if I'm contacting the right people. So a couple of answers there. For Louisiana, you just have to have an ECAC, which is based on the CDA. So if you've never had an ECAC, and if your CDA is expired, you do need to renew before your CDA expires and get your ECAC. But we'll probably need to talk to you offline because you need to have gotten it through a BESI approved provider, and we can explain all of that. After you get your initial ECAC, you can keep renewing your CDA every 3 years. That's a national certification. So like if your family is in the military, or you just tend to move, or your family's out of state, you might want to move back by them at some point. If you think you might be going to another state at some point, if you think that's likely, then you probably do want to keep renewing your CDA every 3 years, because like I said, that's a national certificate. For Louisiana, however, all you have to renew every 3 years as a requirement for us is your early childhood ancillary certificate. Let's see, how would they do the observations with different age groups? So the class tool is designed to work with multiple age groups as well. And we work with Teachstone, the researcher and designer behind the class tool, to talk about how you use that tool with mixed ages. So excellent question, because it's not the way it's used in centers as typically, for example, but even in centers you have, sometimes you have children who count in the infant range, and sometimes you have children who count in the toddler range based on the tool in the same classroom. And so it goes based on majority age. Next steps, I received my certificate of academic approval. Yes, you must have applied. The certificate comes through pretty quickly. What are the next steps that I need to do? I think the next steps are just to stay excited, keep writing down any questions you have, keep sending any questions you have to Felicia, and she will be updating you, but primarily she's going to update you about that family child care ladder after we get it approved. And then by July 1, she's going to be letting y'all know next steps. So she'll be introducing you to your local community network. She'll be finding out who's registered for Pathways and who isn't and giving you instructions on that. She'll be seeing if people want to know about enrolling in ECAC programs, if they don't have that. So I would say write your questions down, send any you have already to Felicia. But if you have already applied and you have your certificate, you are good to go for the next 6 weeks.
We have 2 hands raised. Miss Kanisha Jackson.
I used to work for Head Start, and I've been in family childcare in my own business for almost a year. I do have an ancillary, and it is going to expire October of next year. So what do I do moving forward?
October of 2023 or 22?
23.
Okay, so you are fine. We will have the process worked out before that, but I would say maybe January 2023, definitely March 2023 at the latest. Get in contact with Felicia and say, hey, it's March, it's expiring in October, tell me what to do so I have enough time. It's too early to reapply or do anything about it right now. So yeah, I see also some questions in the chat, Felicia. Are parents living in Lafayette Parish able to apply for child care assistance in St. Martin Parish from a family child care provider? So to my knowledge, I do think we have somebody from CCAP on the call who might be able to answer it, but to my knowledge, families apply for CCAP, and then as long as they want to take that CCAP to a CCAP certified site, they can take it to whatever parish. I don't think that it in any way is bound to a particular parish. And then our family child care providers expected, sorry, let me get the rest of the question. Expected, hold on one second. It's just not scrolling well for me. Our family child care providers expected to charge for child care on a daily rate or hourly rate, or is it optional according to the provider? And if you have CCAP, the state is going to give you a daily rate for those children, but based on the, whether they're full day or part day. But my understanding, again, it wouldn't hurt to ask the provider help desk, but my understanding is that that is how you choose to bill as a provider. Some other questions: if you don't participate in academic approval, does this affect you being on child care assistance? And the answer is no, you can still be CCAP certified without opting into academic approval. Opting into academic approval is just that, it's an option for you if you want to receive additional benefits, etc.
We have a hand raised, Karen. Shanitra, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name right. Miss Shanitria Parker.
Yes, ma'am, you pronounced it right. I have I have a question. If you are CDA certified and you're CCAP certified, so the next step that I would need to do is to apply for my academic approval?
Yes, ma'am. That will be the second step.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
The requirements. Then you would apply for academic approval.
Okay, thank you.
I just want to make sure everybody else knows, you don't have to have all those things before you apply for academic approval. You do need to be CCAP certified. So if you're not CCAP certified, you want to get in touch with the provider help desk and start working on that. but you do not need to have a CDA or an ECAC yet. You have 2 years from the time your academic approval starts to get your ECAC. So some of you are ahead of the game, which is great, but I don't want the rest of you to think you're behind, because you're not. You have 2 years to get it. You're perfectly on track. There's also a question, the question about, I meant to renew my ancillary certificate, not my CDA, but the same thing, that, you know, early in 2023, contact Ms. Felicia and she'll put you in touch with the right team member to renew your ECAC at that time. There was a comment about
observations.
1 second. This is pretty much turning us into Head Start. So Head Start has a lot of additional requirements besides the ones that we're talking about today. It probably has the most intensive requirements of any early childhood program. So this is still very different, but I will say that absolutely, this is part of legislation that was passed. About Act 3 was to unify the early childhood system so that all children are, you know, getting the same supports, meeting the same outcomes. All teachers are held to the same expectations, and all families have the same opportunities to have children in quality care, because we know that only 40% of children are entering kindergarten ready to learn. That's embarrassing and horrifying. We all have to do more, we all have to do better, and we can, and we have been improving. But to do that, we have to raise our standards, and we have to learn, and we have to grow together. And it's our job as a state to give you supports to help you do that and meet those goals. And so, yes, that's why, you know, all teachers have to have an ECAC, whether they're in a family and child care site, if they're in academic approval, or if they are a type 3 center. Everybody has to be observed and get a score. It's all about unifying the system.
Thank you, Karen. All right, do we have any more questions? Thank you guys so much for throwing these questions at us and allowing us to answer them for you guys. We really appreciate it. Okay, well, I am going to stop recording and go ahead and end us out for the evening. Again, thank you guys for joining on tonight. I will go ahead and recopy the application link and drop it in the chat for those that are interested. If you want to go ahead and take a look at it, you can also start this application and save it, and then come back to it as you need to. But just keep in mind that we are shooting for that June 17th date, so that way we can start to see some of the benefits roll in for the 23 year tax year. So thank you guys for joining. You guys have a great night. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Be blessed. You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night. Felicia.
Good night. Good
Thank
night.